This story is titled, My Parents Betrayed Me for Their Favorite Daughter, but Karma Came Through. Hi, everyone. Before we dive a quick favor. If you enjoy content like this, please hit the subscribe button. It's free, supports the channel, and make sure you never miss out on amazing video. Alright, let us get started. My parents tried to steal my inheritance, but my grandparents had other plans. I'm a 28-year-old guy, and let me tell you, my family has a long, tangled history of favoritism. Growing up, it was crystal clear. My younger sister Amy, who's 25 now, was always the golden child, especially in my dad's eyes. Honestly, the favoritism started when we were just kids, and it only got worse as we got older. From my earliest memories, Amy could do no wrong. I still remember being 5 years old and getting a basic store-bought cake and a quiet dinner at home for my birthday. Meanwhile, when Amy turned 2 that same year, my parents threw a blowout party with face painters, a bouncy house, and even a petting zoo. That pretty much set the tone for the years to come. As we got older, the differences got even more obvious. Amy always had the newest toys, the nicest clothes, and got the most attention. I'll never forget when I was 10, I spent months saving up my allowance to buy a new bike. Right after I brought it home, Amy threw a fit because she wanted one too. Instead of teaching her patience or anything about saving up, my parents went out and bought her a better bike than mine the very next day. School wasn't much different either. My parents made it to every one of Amy's events, but somehow they were always too busy to show up for mine. In 4th grade, I landed the lead role in the school play. I worked so hard, practiced for weeks. On the night of the performance, my parents showed up an hour late, just in time to miss my big scene, because Amy said her stomach hurt. Turns out, she was fine. They just lost track of time playing with her. No matter what I accomplished, it was never quite enough. I joined the math club, pulled straight A's all through middle school, even won first place at a regional science fair, and all I got was a nod. Meanwhile, Amy brought home a B+ in her worst subject, and they threw her a celebratory dinner and bought her a new phone to encourage her. High school was brutal. I bent over backward trying to earn their approval, kept a perfect 4.0 GPA, became captain of the debate team, ran the school newspaper. Meanwhile, Amy scraped by with C's and spent most of her time hanging out with her friends. When I got accepted into a prestigious summer program at Harvard in my junior year, it felt like the biggest achievement of my life. But when I shared the news at dinner, Dad just grunted and changed the subject to Amy's upcoming dance recital. At least Mom gave me a half-hearted, "That's nice," before moving on. The night I was supposed to fly out to Harvard, I asked them for a ride to the airport, but Amy had a dance recital that night, and they said they couldn't miss it. I ended up getting a friend's parents to drop me off. Story of my life. The college process wasn't any easier. I busted my butt working on essays, extracurriculars, and SAT prep. When I got into several top schools and earned a big scholarship to my dream college, all I got from my parents was, "That's good, but don't let it go to your head, and just remember where you came from." Meanwhile, when Amy barely scraped through high school and decided college wasn't for her, my parents treated it like a brave, independent choice, even rewarded her with a brand new car. Years of this took a toll on me. Through my late teens and early 20s, I battled with depression and anxiety. It wasn't until college that I started therapy and finally realized none of it was my fault. Their twisted favoritism had nothing to do with my worth. It took a long time and a lot of hard work to rebuild my self-esteem. Despite everything, I managed to carve out a good life. I graduated with honors, landed a solid job in finance, and bought my first home at 27. I'm proud of what I've built, even if my parents couldn't care less. And that brings me to the current mess. A few months ago, my grandfather on my dad's side passed away. He was a self-made man who built a small fortune, and in his will, he split his estate equally between all his children and grandchildren. That included me, Amy, and our cousins. My share ended up being about $500,000, enough to wipe out my student loans, invest in my future, maybe even start my own business someday. When the will was read, my parents' faces told the whole story. They were clearly upset. Later that day, they pulled me aside, saying it wasn't fair that I was getting the same amount as Amy. After all, she was struggling, still living in their basement and working part-time at a coffee shop. I tried to stay calm and told them that Grandpa made his wishes clear, and it wasn't up to them. But they pushed harder, saying I should do the right thing and hand over my inheritance to Amy. When I refused, the guilt tripping started. I was ungrateful. I was selfish. They dragged up every tiny thing they'd ever done for me, paying for braces, school supplies, letting me live at home during college, conveniently forgetting about the car and shopping sprees they gave Amy. Then things got even worse. My dad, acting as one of the executors, announced that he was going to reinterpret Grandpa's will, meaning he would take my entire share and give it to Amy. He claimed that's what Grandpa would have wanted if he had really understood the situation. I was shattered. It wasn't just illegal, it was another brutal reminder of how little they thought of me. I tried reasoning with them, explaining that Grandpa knew our situation and still chose to treat us equally. My mother accused me of speaking ill of the dead. When I pointed out how Grandpa always encouraged me, they just waved it off, saying I misunderstood him. Even Amy didn't back me up. When I pulled her aside, she just shrugged and said, "Mom and Dad know best." At that point, I turned to the one person I could trust, my grandma, Grandpa's widow. When she heard what was going on, she was furious. She told me that a few years back, my parents had actually tried to convince Grandpa to leave everything to Amy, and he refused. He had even added a clause to his will. Anyone who contested the fair distribution would lose their share completely. Armed with that information, I confronted my parents. They were stunned when I mentioned Grandma's proof. Dad tried to spin it like they were just looking out for Amy, but their guilt was obvious. Grandma didn't waste any time. She got the other executors and a lawyer involved. She even called Dad's siblings, who were just as disgusted as she was. Together, they made sure my dad couldn't mess with the will. My parents had to back down, but now they're furious with me. They claim I turned the family against them. My mom cried about how I broke the family apart. Dad threatened to cut me out of their will, which, honestly, at this point feels more like a blessing than a threat. They're now saying that if I accept the inheritance, I'm dead to them, that I'll never be welcome in their home again. Mom even accused me of proving I never loved them, that I only cared about the money. The extended family is divided. Some of my cousins are cheering me on, saying they always knew how bad the favoritism was. Others think I should have just given in for the sake of family peace. Even Dad's siblings are backing me up, but it's put a big strain on their relationship with my parents. As for Amy, she's caught in the middle. She told me privately that she feels bad, but she's too dependent on Mom and Dad to stand up to them. Honestly, I can't even blame her. She's been raised to seek their approval her whole life. Still, part of me wishes, just once, she would have stood by me. This whole ordeal has dragged up years of buried hurt. I find myself replaying every birthday they missed, every accomplishment they brushed off, every moment they made me feel invisible. It's not just about the money, it's about standing up for myself for the first time in my life. Yeah, things are awkward now. Family dinners are unbearable. I even skipped our last monthly get-together because I couldn't deal with the cold stares. But despite all the chaos, deep down, I feel stronger. For once, I'm not letting them walk all over me. And honestly, it feels damn good. Standing up for myself and finally declaring my worth has been both a terrifying and freeing experience. While deep down I believe I'm doing the right thing, I can't lie, all this family drama has been wearing me thin. Lately, something I hadn't dealt with since my college days came creeping back, the anxiety attacks. They've been hitting hard and out of nowhere. Because of that, I'm seriously considering going back to therapy just to have someone help me manage all this stress better. Sometimes I wonder if I did the right thing by refusing to cave in to my parents' demands. Would it have been easier to just hand the money over to Amy and keep the peace? Part of me is so tired of always being the scapegoat, the one who causes problems, but another part is terrified of losing my family completely. Any advice or even just an outside perspective would mean the world right now. A lot's happened since I made that first post about 6 months ago. Before I dive in, I want to take a second to say thanks to everyone who offered advice or just some kind words. You folks have no idea how much that helped keep me going when everything felt like it was falling apart. First up, the legal side. After a ton of you encouraged me, I finally got my own lawyer involved. He sat me down and walked me through it all, confirming that I had every right to my inheritance and what my dad tried to pull. Yeah, straight up illegal. We made sure to document everything, just in case we had to go the court route. Luckily, it never came to that. Thanks to my grandma, her attorney, and my dad's siblings, we managed to sort things out without dragging it all into a courtroom. Long story short, I got my full inheritance, exactly the way Grandpa intended it to be. My dad? He was stripped of his role as executor because of the shady stunt he tried to pull. It wasn't a walk in the park, though. Those few weeks were filled with threats of lawsuits, screaming matches, and some of the most toxic phone calls I've ever had to sit through. But in the end, the law was on my side, and they had no choice but to back off. The fallout within the family, though? That's a whole different story. At first, my parents dug in their heels even harder. They called me greedy, selfish, accused me of abandoning my sister. They tried spinning stories to the rest of the family, claiming I manipulated Grandpa or somehow tricked everyone into giving me money. The good news is, most folks weren't buying what they were selling. Then came the really ugly moment about a month after the will was finalized. One of my aunts was hosting a family get-together and my parents, uninvited, decided to show up anyway. It turned into a full-blown scene. My dad started yelling about how I stole from Amy and corrupted Grandma. My mom actually threw an old family photo album at my feet. The whole thing was so bad that a bunch of my relatives had to step in and escort them out. Through all this, my grandma has been my biggest rock. She shared stories I never knew about how proud Grandpa was of my achievements, how he always made a point to celebrate them even if my parents didn't. She even showed me a scrapbook Grandpa kept, filled with clippings of my awards, copies of my acceptance letters, even the program from that school play they missed. It was touching, but also bittersweet. It made me realize just how much silent support Grandpa gave me all those years. Grandma didn't stop there either. She organized a big family meeting minus my parents, where she laid everything out on the table. She talked about the years of favoritism, the missed milestones, the way I was constantly overlooked. Finally hearing someone say it out loud after all these years? It hurt, but it also made me feel seen in a way I hadn't felt in a long time. As for Amy, something unexpected happened there, too. After a lot of thinking and some deep talks with Grandma, she actually came to me and apologized. She said she knew it wasn't right, but she had been too scared her whole life to stand up against Mom and Dad. We had a heart-to-heart about everything, about growing up in that house, about the pressure she felt to always be their perfect kid. Turns out, being the golden child wasn't all sunshine and rainbows. Amy told me she always felt suffocated, like she couldn't make her own choices without their hands all over everything. She said seeing me stand my ground gave her the push she needed to finally take control of her own life. And you know what? She did something amazing. She decided to enroll in college using her inheritance. She's starting small at a community college, but she's got plans to transfer later on. Watching her take those steps made me prouder than I can even explain. Our parents. Yeah, they didn't take it well. First, they tried guilting Amy, saying she was betraying them. When that didn't work, they switched tactics, offering forgiveness if we just come to our senses. Mom's been making some progress, believe it or not. After a lot of pushing from Grandma, and probably seeing Amy thrive without them pulling the strings, she started therapy and even reached out with a real apology. It's slow going, and I'm not rushing to patch things up, but I'm open to hearing her out, with strong boundaries in place. Dad, though? No change there. Still angry, still playing the victim, still trying to control everything from a distance. He barely talks to Amy now, and when he does, it's usually some guilt trip about throwing away her future. It's sad, but at the end of the day, we can't make him change. As for the rest of the family, the ones who stood by me, we're closer than ever. I've moved nearer to Grandma and my supportive aunts and uncles. We even started a new tradition, monthly cousin dinners, where we can just hang out without any of the old drama hanging over our heads. Personally, I'm doing a lot better. I used my inheritance wisely, paid off my student loans, set up a solid investment plan, and even started planning for a future business. I've been dreaming about opening a community center that offers affordable mental health resources and financial education programs. It feels good, putting some of that money toward building something positive. But honestly, the biggest investment I made was in myself, getting back into therapy and offering to help Amy with hers too. We're both learning how to heal from the scars our childhood left behind. It's not easy, but for the first time in a long time, I feel like I'm finally becoming the man I was always meant to be. This whole nightmare, it broke a lot of things. But it also helped me find my voice, and I'm never giving that up again. Even though deep down I know I did the right thing, I'm not gonna pretend it's been easy. There are still plenty of rough days. But I'll say this, I'm proud of myself for standing firm against all the guilt trips and pressure. One of the most unexpected things that's come out of this whole ordeal is how it shifted my view on my career. Going through all this family chaos and diving deep into therapy made me realize just how passionate I am about helping other people who've been through the same kind of dysfunction. Lately, I've been seriously thinking about going back to school, maybe studying to become a family therapist, specializing in working with adult children of emotionally immature parents. On top of that, I've been volunteering at a local youth center, mentoring kids who come from rough homes. And honestly, it's one of the most rewarding things I've ever done. Being the kind of support for them that I wish I had growing up feels incredible. I'm even tossing around the idea of using part of my inheritance to set up a scholarship fund for kids from similar backgrounds. Feels like the least I can do. Meanwhile, my relationship with Amy has continued to heal. We've started a little tradition we call Sibling Day once a month, just the two of us hanging out, no parents, no drama. Last month we went hiking and had a picnic, and man, it felt like we were kids again. Just laughing, relaxing, reconnecting, building something real on our own terms, without all that old baggage weighing us down. As for my parents, well, it's complicated. My mom's been trying to repair things. She's still sticking with therapy and, to her credit, she's finally starting to see the damage her favoritism caused. We've had a few tough but honest lunches together, talking through the past and where we might go from here. It's not perfect, not by a long shot, but there's definite progress. Dad, though, he's a different story. Still stuck in the past, still refuses to admit he did anything wrong. In his eyes, Amy and I ought to be grateful, and he's made it clear he wants nothing to do with me if I won't play by his rules. He's even skipped a bunch of family gatherings just to avoid being in the same room as me. It stings, I won't lie, but I'm learning to let go of the idea that I can change how he sees things. That's his burden to carry, not mine. Thankfully, Grandma's been our rock through it all. She's been sharing even more stories about Grandpa, about how proud he was of us for standing up for ourselves. She's always been someone who believed in fairness and doing the right thing, and she's been a steady hand whenever the family drama flares up. If there's one thing this whole mess has taught me, it's that family isn't just the people you're born into. Sometimes it's the people you choose. I've gotten closer to my aunts, uncles, and cousins who supported me, and I've built a tight-knit group of friends who've had my back when things got ugly. Setting boundaries and putting my mental health first has become a top priority for me. I'm getting a lot better at saying no to situations that aren't good for me, and for the first time in my life, I don't feel guilty about it. I spent way too long chasing approval from people who were never going to give it. Now, I'm finally giving myself permission to chase my own dreams and explore interests I used to put on the back burner. If there's one thing I'd say to anyone going through something similar, it's this. Don't let anyone make you feel bad for standing up for what's rightfully yours. Even if it stirs up controversy, even if it causes a rift, you have every right to defend yourself. Family dynamics can be messy and complicated, but that doesn't mean you deserve anything less than fairness and respect. And remember, it's never too late to start building the life you deserve. Get a good therapist if you need to, lean on people who lift you up, and don't be afraid to draw some hard lines. Your worth isn't defined by how your family treats you. It's defined by who you are. I just want to say one more big thank you to everyone who offered advice and encouragement. You helped me more than you probably realized during one of the toughest chapters of my life. The road hasn't been easy, but for the first time in years, I'm genuinely excited about the future. There's a confidence growing inside me that I haven't felt in a long, long time. I can't wait to see where this new chapter leads. And you can bet I'm determined to break the cycle of favoritism and build a better, healthier family someday when it's my turn. Thanks for sticking with me through this journey. If you haven't subscribed yet, make sure to hit that button and tap the notification bell. We've got plenty more real-life stories coming your way.